Test, test. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Test, test. There we go. My name is John Peraza, Assistant to the City Manager. I want to thank you for coming today to our Sidewalk Vending workshop. Si necesitan que alguien le traduzca en español, tenemos los traductores atrás que les pueden dar uno de los aparatos para que así de esa forma puedan escuchar la presentación en el idioma del español. Before we go ahead and get started, if you have not signed in already, providing your phone number or email, please make sure you sign in before you head out or after the program. That way we can go ahead and send you information regarding upcoming community events and other key information coming up here in the city. So today we're here to talk about sidewalk vending in the community. We have representatives from the city here today to talk about a little bit about what the city's doing, representatives from the LA County offices for public health and economic opportunity to share a little bit about the permitting process and resources available to those here in the county. Before I introduce our community preservation manager, I do want to highlight that we have key staff here. Our assistant city manager, who oversees our community development, Juan Arauz, is here in the back. Also joining us are other key members of our staff, our directors from finance, Joshua Calhoun, community services, Brenda Rodriguez, and Mr. Raul Diaz from Public Works. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Raul Mazariegos, who's going to speak for a brief moment, and then we'll get the presentation started.
Thank you, Johncito. Good evening, guys. Again, my name is Raul Mazariegos, and I'm the Community Preservation Manager. We are here because I don't know if you guys remember that we did do a survey back in the beginning of the year in regards to the requirements needing for being out here and selling goods, right? So we do have our public health department here, and they will give a quick presentation on your do's and don'ts or the things that we need to be out here. Okay.
Thank you so much for that, Raul. And before we go ahead and get started with the presentation, if anybody in the room tonight would like a copy of any of the presentations, whether it be English or Spanish, make sure you come see me, and I will go ahead and make a note of that request so I can get all that information out to you tomorrow morning. To kick off the presentation tonight, we have Ana Lu. She is from the Office of Economic Opportunity. The Office of Economic Opportunity will do their presentation first. Once Ana Lu's done, we will have the Department of Public Health do their presentation. Once they're done, we're going to do a Q&A session where members of the audience and via Zoom will be able to ask a question. So with that, I'll hand it over to Ana Lu.
Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ana Lu Fernandini, and I work for the Department of Economic Opportunity with LA County. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the LA County ordinance. It is very important to notate that our ordinance, the ordinance that my department enforces, it is only enforceable in unincorporated areas of LA County, which is not the city of Cudahy. But I'll also explain to you about the resources that might be available to you depending on where you vend, not where you live, okay? So the LA County ordinance, so it requires that all vendors get a registration. So for LA County unincorporated, it's not called a permit, we call it a registration. It requires that, it stipulates the vendors could be roaming, which means they move from space to space, vending such as paleteros or the elote man. Also, or they're stationary vendors that are able to stay in one location throughout the whole day. We also said information about operations. Where can they operate? In general information, LA County vendors in unincorporated areas can operate in commercial areas. LA County vendors that are stationary can only be in commercial areas, which is where there are other businesses, right? There is a possibility for vendors that are that move during the day, which are the vendors that we consider roaming. So such as the paleta man, those vendors can go through residential areas as long as they continue to move. They cannot stay more than 15 minutes in a residential area. So only the roaming vendors can go through residential areas and while they're moving. We also stipulate that people that sidewalk vend, if you're stationary in a commercial area, you can vend from 6 a.m. to midnight. If you're a roaming vendor and are going to go through a residential area, you can only roam through a residential area between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And once again, vendors cannot stay in residential area for longer than 15 minutes. They need to vend and continue to move forward. And it also establishes fines. So there are fines established for people that violate the ordinance, for people that don't follow the rules, for people that do things that go against it. So here on the screen, you can see there is a QR code where is more information about the complete ordinance for LA County unincorporated areas. This came into effect in February of last year. So it has been in effect a little bit over a year. And it became actually enforceable in August of last year. And I'll show you a map at the end to tell you what that means, the unincorporated area. So the goals of our program is to provide outreach and education. We do provide sessions where we talk to vendors and we explain to them. We have about from 6 to 10 sessions every month where we teach vendors how to get their permits, how to get formalized, what's available out there for them to get, what they need to get in order to be compliant with the law. We also provide technical assistance. If vendor needs help with filling out their application, if they need help on getting some of their prerequisites, such as a seller's permit, we can provide that information. We also address financial barriers. That is one of the biggest barriers that we have found with sidewalk vendors is finances. It is, the ability to get a code compliant food card, the ability to pay for the permits, the ability to pay for any of the, or even our registration. So we do have subsidies for that. We also are we have a program that we're going to be launching in the next couple of months we're going to be giving away 200 free food cards. And I'll tell you a little bit more how that will work. And we also have a compliance structure and process, which means that the county has something called a care first approach to anything we do. So our first idea is not that we're going to go and find you. The first thing we're going to try to do is educate you. So when we receive a complaint against a sidewalk vendor, the first thing that we do is that one of my team members will go out and speak to the sidewalk vendors, explain to them what is happening, the complaint we received, and we offer them to talk to us to see how we can help them become compliant. This is the map that I was showing you. The city of Cudahy is not unincorporated, so we do not enforce sidewalk vending here in Cudahy. Cudahy has their own law. However, unincorporated areas, it could be that you are a vendor that lives here in Cudahy, but you vend in unincorporated areas. One of the most popular unincorporated areas that is close to here will be East LA. We also enforce the South vending in Flores and Firestone corridor. We also enforce all of those yellow areas. Those are the unincorporated areas in LA County. So like I was telling you before, although we do not enforce the sidewalk vending here in the city of Cudahy, if you are a vendor that lives in Cudahy but vends in one of the areas that the county regulates, you might be eligible for some of the resources we offer. The first resource that we offer is called a CMFO subsidy. It's a compact mobile food operation subsidy. This will pay up to 75% of the public health permits for a permitted food cart. So if you are a sidewalk vendor that vends in unincorporated areas of LA County and you have a card, but you think, the permits are expensive, the permits vary from, I believe, $500 to about $1,200, depending on what type of card you have. The county can pay up to 75% if you are a vendor in an unincorporated area. So you just have to apply, and we have the application available both in English and Spanish. And here are the requirements for that. So this is a vendor that vends in an incorporated area. It's a small business that is earning under $50,000 in gross annual revenue. They need to register and attend one of the presentations I was telling you that we host between 6 and 10 per month, depending on how many weeks the month has and how busy we are, but at least 6 every month. You also need to complete the application, which is part of the QR code that I shared before. And this program is very specific to first time owners of a permit. This is for people that have never had the ability to have a permit before. This is to help them bridge that barrier of not being able to afford the permits. And they need to provide an ID whenever they pick up their certificate. They need to come to our office with a government issued ID. This government issued ID could be any type of ID from any government. It could be a matricula, it could be a passport from another country. Obviously, it could be a California driver's license, it could be an American passport, whatever you have. We do not, in any of the process that we do and we do not check legal status. So that is not something that the county is collecting or asking for. All we need is a way to identify who is picking up the information to make sure we don't give duplicate words to people. So there are more resources to go around for more people. The next available program, and this is actually a county-wide program. So this one is available in the city of Carajay, and maybe Joshua can tell you a little bit about it. This is the MECO program. So this is a public health program, and it is available. The MECO program will allow you to cook from your home and have a mini restaurant from your home. What we are seeing a lot is that a lot of the sidewalk vendors want to have a restaurant outside on the streets. That unfortunately is not allowable. That's not permittable. We don't have a way to formalize grills and fryers on the road. That's just not going to happen. That is the California Retail Food Code does not allow for that. The state law does not allow for that. So there are a couple different options. You change your menu to be able to fit into a code compliant card, but now there is another option. This is a fairly new ordinance that passed also last year. This is the micro enterprise kitchen operations. This allows for people to prepare food and vend it from their home. They can have a tiny mini restaurant from their home. People can come in and eat at your house, or people can come and pick up the food, or if you, let's say, work with a partner, or you can have up to one employee. So maybe you have an employee that delivers the food. So that's are the options that you have. There are limitations of income. You cannot vend more than $100,000 of revenue from this tiny operation, and it's about 90 meals per week. One of the important things about MECO is that if you have a card, a food card that is compliant and you have permits, you can link them together. Because one of the requirements when you have a food card, you will hear about that, is that you need commissary space. You need a space that is approved by the county where you cook and clean your cart. Well, if your house has the ability to host it, and that will be determined by public health because they will inspect your house for Amico. If your house has the capacity to host the cooking and the cleaning and the storage for your cart, you can also use your Miko to make the food that is being sold inside on your cart. Let's say like a tamales. So if you make tamales, you get your Miko, right? So that allows you to prepare the tamales. Then you get a code compliant food card. You get the permits for that. Then you link them together. Then you are able to make your tamales and send them out on your little cart. And that will all, you follow the rules of public health, that should all be compliant. Nobody should bug you and we should be fine. A Miko can host up to 2 carts. So one Miko, you could have up to 2 carts for you to produce your tamales or something that you can host in a cart. Another brand new program that we have is the Small Business Mobility Fund. This is a grant. This is free money for people that qualify. Once again, this money is being for vendors that vend in unincorporated areas of LA County. There are 2 kinds of grants. There's up to $5,000 for food vendors, and there is up to $500 for merchandise vendors. This money could, if awarded to the applicant, could be used to pay for permitting fees. Maybe if you have a MECO and now you want to link them with your card and you need to pay those permits, you can use the money for that. Or maybe you don't have a cart and you want to use $5,000 to buy a cart, you can definitely do that. You can use it for food safety training. You can use it for equipment for your operation. and so on. So this is how the county is trying to bridge the need from the vendors to move forward and getting formalized. And this is the information about the events like that I was telling you. We host them on a monthly basis. We host several of them a month for the month of April. These are the ones that are left over. We have we have 4 virtual ones coming up in the next a couple tomorrow and then a couple next week. We also have an event on April 22nd. On April 22nd is going to be an in-person event in East LA where we are going to be helping people that are ready to get the registration to vend in unincorporated areas of LA County. So we're going to be there in East LA, Centro Maravilla, if you're familiar with East LA, and we're going to be helping, step by step so people can get their permits to vend in unincorporated areas. If you want to register for any of these events, same thing, you can do the QR code and you can register through our Eventbrite. And here's our information. If you have any other questions, you can send us an email, give us a call, make an appointment to meet with one of our counselors. We do have one-on-one appointments where you can discuss the needs of your business and see how we can help you. And that is it. Do we have any questions? Oh, no questions here.
Good. Thank you so much, Ana Lu, for that. So Ana Lu will stay here throughout the next presentation. As mentioned at the beginning, we're going to do a Q&A at the end because the next department we have is the Department of Public Health. So some of your questions may be related to that department. Daniela, if we can get the next slide up, and I'll go ahead and hand it over to Joshua.
Okay, thank you. Well, good evening. My name is Joshua Trapezzonian. I'm the Chief Environmental Health Specialist for the County of Los Angeles' Mobile Food Program. My program is charged with enforcement of California Health and Safety Code for the entire County of Los Angeles as it pertains to mobile food facilities, carts, and also any unpermitted vending within the streets and sidewalks of Los Angeles. So what I'm about to speak to tonight does include the city of Cudahy. Tonight, we'll be discussing some of the permittable options that are available to street vendors within the County of Los Angeles. And so this is looking at what's called a compact mobile food operation. State law recently changed. Something called SB 972 introduced a new type of mobile conveyance called the compact mobile food operation, or CMFO. The steps is getting the permit we'll be discussing tonight are 7. We'll talk about determining the type of food being offered, determining the type of non-motorized conveyance that you would need for that. What are the operational instructions required? Whether or not you need to include written operational procedures as part of your permit, and what those would look like. What type of commissary would be required? And yes, I will go into MECO as well as it pertains to that. Also, how you would go about getting a compact mobile food operation approved. And then finally, we'll go into the permitting process or the permitting application process for each. So in determining the type of food being offered, this is very important because this is going to determine what type of cart you can get permitted. There are 4 basic types that we'll be talking about. That is the prepackaged non-perishable food. This would include things such as candies, chips, soda. Then there is potentially hazardous prepackaged food. This would be like prepackaged ice cream, prepackaged tamales, burritos, tacos, etc. Then you would have limited food preparation vehicles. This would be if you want to prepare the food on the sidewalk fresh for your customers. There's 2 types. There is a limited prep vehicle that does not include raw meat, poultry, or fish. And then there is a vehicle that does include raw meat, poultry, or fish. So we want to talk first about 2 types. I want to talk about 2 definitions here, which is what is potentially hazardous food, and then what is limited food prep. Potentially hazardous food is really just an industry term that we use to describe any food that requires temperature control to prevent spoilage or bacterial growth. So refrigeration or being kept hot. Okay, that's what potentially hazardous food is. Limited prep is a definition that was expanded with SB 972, and it's actually fairly lengthy, and it's easier for me to describe what it isn't versus what it is. So with limited prep, you would not be allowed to thaw. You would not be allowed to cook, cool, and reheat. You would not be allowed to offer raw shell oysters as a menu item. And you would not be allowed to cut meat on an unheated surface. So you wouldn't be able to chop on a cutting board. So now let's talk about the structural requirements. Now we'll talk about what is required for any type of cart first. The first is the business must be identified. You must include the name of your business, and the name of the operator and where you operate from. You can see an example down there at the bottom left. Includes 3-inch high letters, the name of the business, as well as 1-inch high letters, the name of the operator, the city, and the zip code of which they operate out of. The cart must also be built from materials which are smooth, non-absorbent, and easily cleanable. This usually means it needs to be out of metal or out of a high-density plastic, so no wood. They would also need to have all of your equipment and utensils easily accessible, and everything must be integrated or integral to the cart. So you cannot have modulars out on the sidewalk. You can't have boxes, coolers, excess or extra stuff set up on outside. Everything must be integrated and included within the cart. This would include a hand washing sink and mechanical refrigeration if the cart operation requires it. All equipment must be certified for commercial use. So this would be NSF or otherwise equivalent. There must also be a first aid kit in an enclosed case on all carts. All CMFOs must also have overhead protection from the elements. Food must be from an approved source. So this means that it must be from a market. It must be prepared at an approved location, such as a commissary on the cart itself, or within your home if your home has a MECO permit or a cottage food permit. If your home is not permitted, you cannot store the food or prepare the food within your home. Food must also be stored and protected from the elements, meaning must be safe and protected for both the elements and the customers inside the cart. And you must have access to an approved commissary. And there are several options, which I'll go into in a little bit. So now let's talk about the types of compact food operation. This also would include what type of permit you need. One is a permit exempt, and then we have a low, moderate, and high risk. And we'll go into more detail in the next slides. So permit exempt, if your business is limited to prepackaged, non-potentially hazardous food items only, and you are less than 25 square feet, you are permit exempt. You don't need a permit from us in order to sell. These types of foods include commercially packaged candies, chips, soda. Anything that you would package yourself, we would need to look into whether or not it would be considered permit exempt or not. What does 25 square feet look like? As far as the county is concerned, it can be a 5 by 5 foot space. It does not need to be on wheels, so it can be a rack, a table, yourself if you're hawking. But what is important though is to check with your local city for any additional restrictions. So if you plan on doing business in the city of Cudahy, you would want to check with the city of Cudahy if they have any other limitations as far as the footprint that you would be allowed on the sidewalk. So now let's look at the first type of permit from us, the county permit. A low risk permit, this is for, again, non-potentially hazardous foods of greater than 25 square feet, as well as perishable prepackaged items. Realistically, this looks mostly like prepackaged ice cream. So this would be paleta carts. Other than that, this is pretty much I've already talked about the requirements as far as what it would need to be. All the food must be from an approved source. The cart must be from an approved material. It would get a permit from us. These type of carts, though, do not need to go through plan check. You could contact us directly and we would evaluate the cart. Moderate risk cart, there's two types. The first one here is a cart that is selling prepackaged perishable food. So this could be fruit cups containing melon or not containing melon. This could also be food that is prepared at an approved commissary, approved restaurant, and then kept hot on board the cart, such as tamales or burritos. It could also be food that is prepared inside of an approved MECO operation in your home, packaged within your home, and then kept hot on board the cart. These types of carts do not require hand washing stations on the cart itself because you are not actively preparing food on the cart. But you're also restricted to everything being pre-packaged on the cart. So you're not allowed to open it up, add any kind of toppings. You're not allowed to offer any kind of toppings for the customers to apply themselves either. Everything must be pre-packaged. Now, the next type of cart we want to talk about is, again, still moderate risk, but it is selling unpackaged food. This would be the first type of limited prep operation available to you, but these do not include raw meat, poultry, or fish. So everything would be pre-cooked ahead of time at an approved location. So either at a commissary, a restaurant, or in a MECO permitted home. You would then be doing final reheating or assembly on board the cart. And because these carts do have open food preparation, these carts do require an integrated sink with water under pressure. So it would also require a water supply and a waste tank. These types of carts would need to go through plan check, if not already approved by the county. We'll go into that in a little bit, in other slides. So the next would be high risk. The difference between high risk and mid risk is that high risk carts are allowed to have raw meat, poultry, and fish in the refrigeration units. You could then do all your prep on the cart. But these types of carts, in addition to the hand washing sink, also require a 3-compartment sink with hot and cold water under pressure. So they do need to get at least to 120 degrees water. So that you would be able to show and demonstrate how you wash, rinse, and sanitize your food preparation areas and your utensils on board. So again, what cannot be done on board a compact mobile food operation? I went over that previously, but here again, you would not be allowed to slice or cut any kind of meat product on an unheated surface. You would not be allowed to thaw. You cannot cook, cool, and reheat for later use. You cannot serve and sell raw oysters. Additionally, any food at the end of the day must be disposed of. You cannot bring it back to your home. You cannot bring it back to your commissary, even with a MECO, and refrigerate it and then use it the next day. So this is one day only. You prepare, you sell. Anything you don't sell must be disposed of at the end of the day. So written operational procedures. As part of your permitting process, mid-risk and above, you need to submit what's called a working operational procedure as a supplement to your application. But all these are is a step-by-step instruction of what you intend to do on board the cart, where the food is going to be prepared, how it was going to be prepared, how it's going to be kept at approved temperatures, transported to the work site, and then what's the final dispensation at the end of the day. Simply enough, enclosed also would be the menu, food preparation instructions, as well as cleaning and sanitizing of the cart instructions. If you do need assistance, you can contact my office, and we can, my program itself does not provide assistance, we will refer you out to a place where you can achieve assistance should you need it. So now that you want to obtain a cart, you have 3 approved methods of getting that. The first would be to purchase a cart from a standard plan directly from the manufacturer. The second would be to purchase a previously permitted cart with LA County, or the third would be to design your own. SB 972 allows manufacturers to create and approve what's called a standardized plan. They build the cart, they submit it to plan check, they get the approval. And then if you purchase the cart from them within that year, you do not need to go through plan check. You would come directly to us and we can approve you from the standard plan. As part of your permit application though, you would need to include that third PIP there, which is the attestation letter from the manufacturer stating that and affirming that this cart was built to their manufacturing specifications. Another option to you is to purchase a previously permitted cart. If you know that the cart was previously permitted with LA County before, you would just provide us with a copy of its old permit or its old certification sticker and show that this cart was previously permitted. It's already been through plan check. It doesn't need to go through plan check again. I've done no remodels to it. We would confirm that and could then go ahead and process the permit, what's called a change of ownership, with you by appointment. Thirdly, if you know that your cart, you want one that specifies to you, you know what you need, no one else has one out there for you, you can certainly design your own cart and submit plans for that. That's not done through my program. It's done through the county's plan check program. I can refer you to them. But all you would need to do is submit your plans to them, your application to them. They will review your plans. It takes about 20 days for them to do so. They'll come back with notes if you do need to have any kind of updates. And they'll work with you as far as what needs to be done to your cart so that it can get approved and permitted. So again, just a quick reminder, when you are trying to get your permit, there's the permit exempt we talked about. There's also low risk, which would again be something along the lines of prepackaged ice cream or frozen fruit bars. There's the moderate risk, which includes unpackaged food, as well as packaged food products that requires refrigeration or that requires an additional preparation, such as chopped fruit. And then there's also the high risk, which includes raw meat, poultry, or fish. So additionally, you also need to have a commissary. And I know Anna Lou kind of brought this up as well. What is a commissary? There's the traditional sense of the commissary, which is if anybody's ever worked on a food truck or a food trailer, you might be familiar with that. You can certainly use that as well. There are commissaries out there that can be used for CMFOs. They have prep rooms. You can store your cart there. You can clean and service your cart there, as well as prepare any kind of food product there. So that's one option available to you. However, SB 972 has allowed for additional options. The second option here would be to use a permitted food facility, such as a restaurant. So if you want to work in conjunction with a restaurant, you would need to obtain a letter from them. We would need to evaluate it to ensure that it can support the cart. And then you would go about utilizing that as your commissary. You could also use what's called a commercial kitchen with no current health permit. An example for this might be a church kitchen or some other common use kitchen as you might find in your area. You would bring that to our attention. We could evaluate it and approve it based off of that. But finally is also a private home. So without any kind of additional permitting, as far as MECO is concerned, you can store up to 2 carts in your home as part of SB 972. However, that is storage only. So you cannot service the cart there. You cannot do any kind of food prep, no food storage. It's just to store the cart. However, if you also go about the additional step of getting a MECO permit, you can still store your cart there, potentially also service your cart there, as well as continue with any kind of food prep and storage at your home as well, to link in conjunction with your cart. And here's just kind of a brief summary of what I just discussed for each of the 4 options. Okay, so costs of permits and fees. Depending on what option you choose, if you submit plans, there's a separate plan check fee for that. Depending on, and each of the fees are based off of the kind of risk assessment of the cart. So for low risk carts with plan check, it's $183. For mid risk, it would be $439. And for high risk, it would be $663. That's if you have to go through plan check. If you come directly to us, a low risk is only $126, mid risk is $299, and a high risk is $529. However, additionally though, if there's an evaluation that needs to occur, the evaluation fee is $167, and this would include both of the home evaluation and the evaluation for the cart. But I also think DEO looks into, the subsidy for DEO also covers those fees as well. Right? Yes, correct. So if you go about the process of going through DEO, the subsidy would cover that as well. Okay, what does SB 972 not cover? This is very important. It does not legalize pop-up street vending. There is no way for us to permit these types of pop-ups on the street. These types of pop-ups do not include integrated hand washing stations. They do not include mechanical refrigeration. We cannot approve an ice chest for refrigeration units. We cannot approve a jug of water to wash your hands. Gloves do not substitute hand washing. These types of operations have also been linked to severe foodborne illness, as well as environmental damage due to the grease runoff, because there's no way of capturing liquid waste. LA County, my program, does enforce California Health and Safety Code when it comes to illegal street vending. That includes the city of Cudahy. These types of carts and operations are subject to enforcement from my office with the issuance of both inspection reports and citations. One potential solution for cities that wish to buy into it would be utilizing those types of pop-ups in a community event or a licensed temporary food facility type of situation. That's done through our events program. I have the contact information right there. But that's very situational and very spot specific. If you do have any other further questions that we don't get to tonight, you can contact my office at the numbers here, as well as Plan Check, and we can further assist. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, Josh, if you don't mind staying up here, and Analu coming on up. So we're going to go ahead and move on briefly, well, not briefly, open up Q&A. We did want to go ahead and clarify a couple of things. One, there was a comment made about enforcement. So in the city, in Cudahy, we are our own city. We have our elected city council. We have our community preservation team that does code enforcement. Our community preservation team is responsible for enforcing ordinances in our city's municipal code. So we just want to go ahead and provide that clarification because there are areas in the county, like East LA, that are not a city. So they rely on the county board of supervisors for a lot of that. So I just want to repeat that in Cudahy, the entity or the group responsible for enforcement is our community preservation team. So just want to provide clarification on that. Secondly, we did see in the presentation images of some permitted and not permissible uses. If you have any questions, obviously Joshua will be here to speak a little bit more about some of the uses that are not allowed. Open areas where the food isn't stored properly, there isn't the proper equipment, that some of those images that were shared. And lastly, the city is doing this in partnership with Economic Opportunity and the Department of Public Health. One, to share the resources that they have available, but also speaking to some of the limitations that exist currently because of health regulations, making sure that we are ensuring everybody's health and safety, and then also to make sure we fill in the gaps related to some information that you might need. But with that, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. We'll open it up first to those that are on Zoom. If you would like to ask a question, you can raise your hand. Okay, we have no questions via Zoom. Do we have any questions in person? And you can ask it in English or Spanish, and we can get that translated.
Buenas tardes. Actualmente yo estoy solicitando los permisos para vender en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Yo quiero saber qué permisos son los que me funcionan en la ciudad de Los Ángeles para aquí y, y cuáles no me funcionan. Yo vendo comida hondureña. Sí. Comida hondureña en plancha y freidora.
So if it's unpackaged food and you want to be selling it fresh on the street, that would be a high-risk permit.
No. Actualmente, como vecino en el momento. Pero yo estoy, para legalizarme, para legalizarme, estoy yo ya de a poco sacando todos los permisos.
So if you want to prepare in your home and then sell on the sidewalk, you would need a NICO permit for your home.
Sí, yo pagué $500 para que me aprobaran el mico para la preparación en la casa. Todavía no tengo el carrito porque es caro, ¿verdad? Pero yo quiero saber si los permisos que me aprobaron en la ciudad de Los Ángeles me van a ser válidos aquí
No. So the city of LA does not permit you for food. They permit you as a seller. The county has to permit the food operation part of it.
Okay. Solamente.
¿Alguien más que tenga una pregunta?
Buenas noches. My question is, if any of these cards that, the city of Cudahy will work to see if the petitioner will get approved, do they have to live in Cudahy, or it can be from anywhere to apply for any of these programs?
With LA County,
No. With Cudahy. I live in Bell, but I would like to, if I want to participate or if I want to go to the process, do I need to live in Cudahy, or I can be living anywhere?
from our end, no, you can live anywhere. Our
Oh.
permits are good within County of Los Angeles, with the exception of Long Beach, Vernon, and Pasadena. The city may have different requirements. You would want to check with the city where you wish to do business to ensure what their requirements are, so you're in compliance with the city. But as far as the county, your health permit is good anywhere.
I don't have, no. I guess I wasn't clear. If I want to apply for any of those cards or all those three options, I don't need to live in the city of Cudahy to apply for any of those services?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question.
It's a statewide, law that got changed.
So,
any-
so once I get it approved here in Cudahy, I can go and sell anywhere?
It has to get approved by the county first, not Cudahy.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Right? So you get a public health permit and you want to sell in Bell, you need your food, your travel vending permit from Bell. You want to come to Saturday, you might need that travel vending permit from Saturday. You want to vending LA, you need that travel vending permit from the county. So the you need a new permit for the city. No, they don't, and that, not only for everywhere in the county, but for the travel vending business, you would have to get from the city as well. Public health, no public health permit for everybody but Pasadena, Vernon, and Albany. So they have their own public health department. So when you go, you don't only need a public health permit, so that's the most important, right? You need public health. Once you get your public health, I'm gonna say one of the men in there, then you get your sidewalk, and that's an additional permit for them. And you say, you know what, I wanna stay on the Houston and that. So then you go to Highland, you get the sidewalk, then you go to that. You say, I'm opposed to this, all right, and you go to the front. To the Department of Economic Opportunity, to the sidewalk, then you burn it, or
Sí, buenas tardes. Como dijo el compañero acá de la izquierda, yo también preparo lo que es salsas, verduras en mi casa. No tengo el permiso para preparar eso en mi casa. Apenas estoy comenzando. Y yo cocino carne de puerco. Ese día lo cocino 4:30 de la mañana que llego, a 4:30 de la mañana ahí a la calle. Quiero saber si puedo seguir cocinando ese tipo de carne, pues es con lo que yo sobrevivo. ¿O qué puedo hacer? ¿O qué ayuda dan para buscar un carrito? ¿O cómo le puedo hacer?
So if your intention is to prepare food in your home, you must obtain a MECO permit, regardless of the type of food you serve. If the permit fees are too much, that's where you would want to speak with Honolulu, as far as to see if there's any subsidies that are available to you to reduce that cost. But you do need to get a permit.
So yeah, so like Josh, so do you vend your food from home? You make your food from home? Señor, hace la comida en su casa? Sí, eso sí es, el condado no le permite cocinar en la calle a menos que tenga usted un carrito apropiado para eso. Usted podría potencialmente aplicar para el programa MICO, que le permitiría poner un mini restaurancito de su casa. Usted podría cocinar de su casa y que la gente venga a comer a su casa, o usted tiene un empleado que lleva a repartir la comida, o si usted se consiguiera un carrito aprobado, entonces cocinar en su casa y ya nomás llevarlo caliente en el carrito ya para nomás servirlo. Entonces, esa tal vez sería la opción más parecida a lo que usted hace. Y sí, como dice Joshua, ahorita para el MICO, el Departamento de Salubridad tiene un subsidio que a los primeros 1,000 aplicantes del MICO no le están cobrando el costo de la aplicación, que son como $500. Nomás le están cobrando el costo del permiso, que son como 300. Entonces, eso es lo que hay para que usted pueda empezar a formalizarse. Le aconsejaría que, ¿verdad?, que hablara con el Departamento de Salubridad, el departamento de él, para que usted empezara ese proceso de MICO y, ¿verdad?, poco a poco irse acercando a estar formalizado.
¿Alguien más que tenga alguna pregunta?
Thank you. So we actually have like a candy bar that we do private events like parties and so forth. Well, we need a permit for that?
For just prepackaged candy?
Yes.
No. If it's less than 25 square feet, no, you don't need a permit if it's commercially packaged candy.
So it don't matter, we go to private houses and stuff like this, it's okay.
Correct.
Okay, how about if we want to start doing like at the beach, some events at the beach, like
It-
picnics at the beach?
Again, if it's less than 25 square feet, you don't need a county permit. However, where you choose to do business may require additional permitting. Especially beach areas, they may have very specific limitations as far as where and when you can sell. So you
Okay.
want to check with those cities.
All
But
right.
as far as the county is concerned, no.
And last one, if we want to start selling in the farmer's market, what kind of permit do we need for that?
For farmers markets, you would need what's called a temporary food facility permit, and you would need to be on the farmers market's approved vendor list.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And that's done through our community events program.
Buenas tardes. Si tengo un pequeño restaurantito y aplico para un carrito, ¿todavía necesito agarrar una comisaría para tenerlo?
So if you already have a restaurant,
Pequeñito.
we would just need to approve the restaurant. So as part of your permit application, you would disclose that address.
El restaurante tiene todos sus permisos.
We still need to evaluate it to make sure that it has room for the cart.
Ok. Gracias.
¿Alguien más que tenga alguna pregunta?
Buenas tardes. Yo vendo en el Somi de Cypress. Tengo permiso allá. Para aquí tengo que utilizar el permiso de aquí. Gorditas, comida. Son 14 estilos de comidas.
The city of Cypress is in Orange County.
Sí, por Orange.
Yes, you would still need a permit from LA County.
¿Dónde? De aquí. Porque, y podría utilizar el mismo equipo que utilizo allá aquí.
We could evaluate it to see, but usually, yes.
¿Alguien más?
Yes, there's no way for us to permit sidewalk pop-up vendors.
Eso es correcto. Y, y ahorita, ahorita el señor Mazariegos, que es de Code Enforcement, va a hablar acerca de eso.
Sí, señores, so por de pronto no estamos enforzando los permisos. La única cosa que estamos enforzando de parte de la ciudad era que nomás los vendedores no estuvieran en lo rojo, no estuvieran bloqueando el sidewalk, que no estuviera bloqueando los fire hydrants, el driveway. Pero ahora sí vamos a empezar a enforzar porque hemos agarrado muchas quejas y además sí sucedió un incidente en la Florence y la Atlantic donde un autobús le pegó a una carpa de uno de los vendedores. So, por esa razón, ahora vamos a empezar a enforzar eso.
And so additionally, because I'm from the county of Los Angeles, we have jurisdiction throughout most of LA County. We do enforcement in other cities as well. What I talked about today is not restricted just to Cudahy. So we do see enforcement, and I do understand that unpermitted food vending is, an issue just about everywhere within LA County. And we are out there as well. We go out with officers, we do cite the operators, and we do understand that a lot of those operators will still continue to operate after receiving numerous citations, and it's a big frustration. That's also one reason why I want to thank all of you for coming here today, because you represent individuals who want to do things safely and legally. So thank you for coming and getting that information. And just like was reported as well, enforcement can always increase. We're looking for different ways of looking at the issue of unpermitted vending. Like I said during my presentation, it does represent a significant public health concern because of the unsanitary nature of the food being produced. So we are looking at how to properly do enforcement and try to get more and more of those individuals into rooms like this, receiving the same information you are, so that they also can do things safely and legally.
And if I can add something to that, in February, our city council, the city, adopted and is implementing a plan related to sidewalk vending in our community. I think that throughout the county, there's about only 6 or 7 permits that have been issued. So certainly, and that number's growing hopefully. So there are certainly challenges that the county has seen countywide, at least in the unincorporated areas, despite some of the programs and resources. We understand that this is going to be an adjustment for many of those in our community, but the city is committed to providing as many resources and education possible to do a couple of things. One, ensuring the public safety and the well-being of the community. Secondly, making sure that the health safety is being emphasized as well. And third, making sure that you as vendors or those that are vending in our community understand what are the permitted uses and what are the unpermitted uses, because there are regulations that govern what can be sold, how it can be sold. And in the survey we conducted, I want to say in January, we heard you loud and clear that you wanted a little bit more information about what's the permitting process? Is my cart able to continue to have operation? And what do the fees look like? So that's why we're all here today. And I encourage you, if you have any question, now is the appropriate time to ask questions, either from the Department of Public Health, Economic Opportunity, city staff. We want to make sure that we address any concerns or questions that you have. We understand that there have been challenges in the past, but we do want to ensure that we're having a balanced approach to ensuring everybody's health and safety.
¿Alguien más tiene alguna pregunta? I have a question for the health department. So I'm pretty sure you receive a lot of applications for your taco stands, carnitas, birria places. And out of those, how many get actually approved?
So I don't have those numbers as far as like how many attempt to get applications and are denied. That would actually usually be through plan check, because they already have to have the vehicle. We approve the vehicle first before we approve the operation. So I don't have those numbers specifically. I do know that currently right now within LA County, we have over 6,000 permitted mobile food facilities, which do include compact mobile food operations. About half of those are compact mobile food operations already. So they're already out there. Most of them right now are within the mid-risk and low-risk categories. There was just a cart approved last week, I think last Wednesday, that would be allowed to do high-risk foods. So that's, compost, birria, your more, raw meat, poultry, fish, on board the cart. So the easiest way to get into it right now is to combine it with the Miko, because you can do all your prep at your house and then hot hold and serve to the public. But if you want to do full prep, or I guess full limited prep on the street, you would need a high risk, and those just got approved. So we'll hopefully see more of those in the coming months.
But the way the setup is right now, out there, there's no way that it can be approved, correct?
As far as the pop-ups
The-
are concerned,
yes.
no way. The only way for those to be approved is if they operated within a permitted community event and had temporary food facility permits. And those are very limited in scope and location. So there's no way for us to permit somebody wanting to come into a sidewalk, bring a grill, bring some coolers, bring a table, and start full prep on the sidewalk. There's no way for us to approve that at the state level. That's not allowed.
Also, once they go through the process of approval, they still need to follow the guidelines from the city of the location, the approved locations where they can do the vending.
That would be correct.
Any other questions? ¿Alguien tiene alguna otra pregunta?
Pero nosotros también estamos ahí, como un trabajo para tomar los árboles, tenemos que hacerlo. Después terminamos la ciudad de México. Cuando nos vean por allá afuera, nosotros no estamos trabajando con ustedes. Pero simplemente la salud, como no sé, del Parlamento de Agua, estamos ahí para servir a la gente. ¿Cómo estamos ahí? ¿En qué grado? Para mantener la paz. Nosotros no vamos a llamar a ustedes, nosotros vamos a ir a mantener la paz y que cada persona haga su trabajo. Acuérdense que si ocupan permisos del condado para poder trabajar, para ganar el permiso, entonces pues llevan a la ciudad y la ciudad les va a dar otro permiso. Ahorita lo tenemos esperando en la calle Batata, la calle Flores, no están permitidos. No nomás permiso de pero tampoco nada. La ciudad tiene que decidir dónde y cuándo se pueden meter. Ahorita, sean o no, tenemos un trabajo tratando de hallar un lote vacío donde pueden hacer una cosa que se llama el night market, donde invitan a todos ustedes, obvio con permiso del health department, para que vengan y vengan a su comida, siempre y cuando lo hagan sanamente. ¿Verdad? Y para eso son ellos. Yo no decido si ustedes están haciendo sanamente o no, es el departamento de condado. Pero no hay que explicarlo principalmente para la ciudad de La Paz. ¿Alguna pregunta para mí?
¿Alguien tiene alguna otra pregunta?
Era más o menos lo que decía el oficial, buscar un lugar, para todos nosotros, para no estar ahí batallando en la calle. Eso era que pusieran un lugar exclusivo para todos los vendedores de aquí en Carajé.
So right now, the city is looking at potentially hosting a night market. I think right now we can't elaborate too much on it since it's still in the planning stage of it. But we are looking into different ways where we can provide a safe space for vendors. Because we also want to make sure that, there's an opportunity for cultivating nightlife in our community. But that safe space would be for those that have permitted uses that are approved by the LA County Department of Public Health and subsequently by the city of Cudahy. As that information is finalized, or should it be finalized, we will relay that to the community. For now, we just want to make sure that those here today understand what the permitted and unpermitted uses are, some of the challenges that have been faced, and some of the information that we're able to provide for the time being. Any other questions? Okay, seeing no other questions, we want to thank the LA County Department of Public Health, LA County Sheriff's Department back there, and the Office of Economic Opportunity for being here today. This meeting has been recorded and will be available online in the next day or two. And if you have any questions, feel free to stay afterwards, either for city staff or any of the representatives here today. Thank you.
And again, guys, thank you for coming, and I just want to reemphasize that we are gonna start enforcing the street vending out in the city of Cudahy. Thank you.